Hello, parents. I'm trying my first podcast, video, whatever you want to call it, without an interviewer, just me talking to you. So many of you are calling me about problems with sleep, both with babies and with children, toddlers. So I want to shed light on some things from the point of view of aiming at raising children that will become adults who don't have sleep problems. We have an epidemic of sleep problems, as you all probably noticed or experienced yourself. I have. And it seems no one is talking about the connection to how babies are going to sleep, what their attitude towards sleep is. So I'll tell you in advance what I'm going to cover here, and then I may expand beyond it as I go because I'm speaking um, improvisation. I'm not reading. Um, so obviously there is a genetic issue, which is fine. Obviously, if you had more than one baby, you know that each one has separate different needs for how they fall asleep or where they fall asleep. One of my babies could sleep anywhere. I could be in a noisy party and put him under the piano, a grand piano, where he'd just sleep or be on me or off me anywhere. Of course, I'd be close by at that time that we put him shortly under the piano. Um, and then I had a different baby who needed some privacy, go to another room, give me the signal, I'm tired, take me to a quiet place where nobody is there to disrupt me. So you definitely have to learn your baby, and some babies actually prefer a little more space and not being so close to you all the time, because I'm an advocate of sleeping in the same bed, being on mother's or father's body in the beginning, mostly mother, being close to the breast, to breastfeed at night as much as the baby need. I'm not going to cover that subject, but I'm going to cover just recognizing your baby's needs. Then I'm going to cover babies' habits, how not to train them to ignore their needs. So, and how to develop self-reliant children, starting with sleep, how to develop memories of sleep associated with ease and joy. And I'll give you some examples of stories from family intensives with babies who have changed their way of sleeping right here. I will also cover some of how, parents call it put the child to bed. I'm going to poke a hole in that whole concept. And then I will address the issue of, well, then when do we have our intimacy as adults with having to put so much into the children, or if the solution is going to bed at the same time, which is one of the possibilities. So let me go back to the beginning of my little list here. So genetics, I kind of covered as I presented the subject. Yes, you have to learn your baby and find out what they want, what they need, but then flow with it. Don't direct it. Don't imprint what you think is the best way. Some children need structure. Some babies need no structure at all. Just carry me, live your life, do whatever you want to do. And, I fall asleep whenever I'm tired. Or I'll cry first and I'll be a little cranky and then I fall asleep, and being cranky is fine. It's a way child sometimes go through the process. Breastfeeding to sleep is fine. There is some theory that that's associating food with calming down. I haven't seen that in reality. I haven't seen, I raised children who went to sleep with a boob in their mouth, and they don't have food disorder or sleep disorder or emotional holding back emotions. I don't recommend to breastfeed a crying baby. unless that's what they're crying for. But if they're crying for someone else, or need to crank, or need to cry, or need to go through their process, we want to hold them and let them go through the process and then offer the breast. Um, so the most important general idea is babies learn from their experience with you in the going to sleep, whether sleep is a struggle, a long process, difficult, painful, or whether it's no big deal. When I am tired, I go to sleep. So a lot of the even best attachment parenting attitudes, sleep with the baby, and all of that, parents still think that they need to create a clock for the sleep, a timing, that they read the baby tiredness because the baby is cranky, which is not always meaning that the baby is tired. Sometimes they need to crank for a while. And so uh, calming them down and putting them to bed is not a positive experience for them. They're not experiencing going to sleep peacefully because what they need to do emotionally for themselves have been disrupted and struggled against. So just because they're cranking, if they're not falling asleep, they're not tired by their own self evaluation, which is without words in the beginning, but we need to trust it for it to develop, for the baby to develop a clear sense of when they're tired. We need to get out of the way and respond honestly. To me, it's Zen. One is tired when they are sound asleep. That's the proof that they were tired. As long as we do other things, we're not evaluating ourselves as tired enough to close our eyes and sleep. When we're tired, we sleep. The proof of tiredness is sleep. Yes, you may think the baby is tired because they're rubbing their eyes, they're crying, they're creating for themselves reasons to cry and all that stuff. But if they're not sleeping, then they need to cry. If they're not sleeping and they're cranking and creating reasons to cry, then they need to do that. We need to let them finish that, and they will sleep that much better. In fact, a lot better. That's part of what makes for a better sleep, is that they trust themselves, which leads to self-reliance. Self-reliance in the area, and sleep is a big one that they learn from the beginning. They learn to be self-reliant when you breastfeed them when they're hungry, or if you can't breastfeed and use a bottle, but you're doing it, the timing is when they ask for it. So they know how I feel inside is right. And it's the same with sleep. We go to sleep when they're tired. And with the babies who just sleep easily, the best is to not put them, they're not packages. You don't need to design their sleep. Just go about your life, carry the baby in arms, on your body, in a snuggly with their little in the front, and they'll fall asleep and they'll wake up and they'll fall asleep and they'll wake up. They'll breastfeed, they'll go back to sleep, whatever they're doing without you being the director. That's how self-reliance is developed. And that's true also about bed sharing or co-sleeping, whatever you call it. If the baby wants to sleep with you, which babies do, and they need it, and they need to, or they'd be really scared being separated from you, especially when they go unconscious, then they need to know how I feel inside is right. I need to sleep right on my mother's body or next to her. And that's what she's giving me, which means I'm right. I can rely on myself. So even if it's for a few years, that's learning self-reliance. That's learning, I know when I'm tired. I know when I'm ready to sleep. Keep in mind that babies, and especially toddlers and children, their assessment of tiredness is different than yours. So you may assess because the baby is crying and cranky, oh, that means they're tired. No, that's not their assessment. Zen, simple. If they're cranky, let them crank. If they're crying, and be with them, of course, support their crying, let them express themselves, go through the emotion. Of course, if there is a need, change the diaper, holding, singing a song, it's all right. Just meet the need. Don't force the child and don't give them a message. You're not supposed to feel this way right now, and you're not supposed to do this right now. You're supposed to sleep. You don't know how you feel. When you're cranky, you don't know what it means. What it means is you're tired. So let's stop your crankiness and shake you until you're asleep. And that's not what will teach them self-reliance or knowing their own body and recognizing their own sleep. And it teaches them that sleep is a hard thing to get to and a big struggle and a discontent with mother or father. So those memories are what would make, to whatever degree, is not genetic or food or environment or stress. So there are lots of other factors, but the memories of either struggle or ease about going to sleep starts in a babyhood have a big impact. And it's part of the picture of whether you grow up into an adult that has no problem sleeping or that is sleeping securely and comfortably. So here are some stories of uh, uh, toddlers that were here in my house for a family intensive, which is one of the best programs I offer for families to be here with me for a few days and hands-on guidance. Um, so one of them was um, a family with two children. One of them was a toddler, and the mother showed me how she struggles every day to put the girl to sleep. And the way she did it is she decided when the baby is tired or the toddler is tired, and she would go to bed with her and breastfeed her. And the baby would breastfeed. She was very happy to breastfeed, except at some point she was done and she got up and got out of bed. She wasn't tired. The mother was sure she was tired because she started running around and doing whatever the mother was thinking is a signal that she's tired. But obviously, she got out of bed after 10 minutes breastfeeding. So the mother would cajole her back into bed and do that over and over again. The process took 2 whole hours for the first 2 days of the 5 days intensive, 2 whole hours. So she went to bed at 8, and I wanted to remember those numbers because of the second part of the story. She went to bed at 8, and at 10 o'clock, the toddler fell asleep. By the third night, I told her, let's experiment with what I tried to teach you. So I said, just don't put her to bed. Be present, be close by, be available with the breast and everything, change diapers, put her in pajamas. So when she falls asleep, you don't have to disturb her changing her diaper or doing anything. So the girl we actually were in this room, we were doing a session, we were talking, and the girl was playing this game where she ran around the room over and over again and with some doll and brought the doll to her mom and took it back and told all kind of stories, or maybe she wasn't totally verbal, I don't remember that detail, but a lot of running around and a little whining and back to running and back. This started at 8 p.m. that we started this. At 10 p.m., on the button, she climbed into her mother's lap, latched on, and fell asleep within minutes. So 2 hours of joy or 2 hours of struggle, choose. Another example, if my own child with another family who was here and learned from my toddler, children don't like to miss the fun. So the idea of putting them to bed while other people are staying awake is really a bad idea at all ages. And I'll talk about it when I talk about children. So we were all the two families, my children, the youngest was the toddler. We were all in the kitchen, still talking, having snacks or whatever we were doing. And the little one, my youngest one, obviously was tired because bang, he fell asleep on the floor. So yeah, you can say, what a terrible mother. Why did you ignore him and didn't put him to bed? But that would be managing his feelings, managing his choices, managing and disrupting his connection to his own body. He went to sleep anywhere. He's a tight sleeper, never had problems sleeping. So he's on the floor asleep. And the mother of the family who came to study with me for the family intensive, she was amazed because they were struggling with their baby every night. And she picked up, because this was the second day, I think, she picked up my child who was so sound asleep, didn't even wake up from her picking him up. She sat on the floor cross legged and held him and said, "Oh my God, he's sound asleep." And my husband said to her, "It's very simple. In this house, children go to sleep when they're tired, eat when they're hungry, play when they want to play. It's Zen wisdom. It's simple. There are no struggles because of that." So children don't want to miss anything. So the idea of putting them to bed, even when they're baby, because they're interested, unless you got the kind of baby who is asking to be in the quiet and then wants you to stay with them, not go away right away and leave them alone, or take them and put them on the couch next to you so that you can be responsive if they wake up, especially if it's a nap. But even at night, I would want the sleeping baby to know that mother is right there by him. So if he wakes up, he doesn't develop anxiety. I'm waking up and I find myself without mother. That causes the baby to wake up more times at night. Because if that experience repeats itself on a nightly basis, where they wake up and then you come over, but they cried a bit before you manage to arrive into the room, now they're going to become the child who wakes up 7 times a night, every hour, every 2 hours, needing to know you're there, checking that you're there by asking for the boob. And I'm not saying they don't also need to do a lot of breastfeeding at night. At different phases, they do. And and I want to stress phases. There is no such thing as sleep regression. Nobody is regressing. We have ideas that the baby should progress according to us and sleep more and more uninterrupted. But progress for a baby, depending on the body's development, the brain development, may be waking up more for a while as part of the progress. It's not a regression, it's a change toward the next step. So I never use the concept regression. I don't think children regress. They become more clingy at certain ages after they've been already more independent for very good reason. That's their progress, realizing that life is not as innocently safe as they thought, and they want to stay close by because they're starting to be more aware of what isn't so safe for them. So so keep, have the baby close enough that the moment you hear a whimper, your hand is on them, so they know mom is here. Either sleep with them or be so close by that you can do that. But with children, putting them to bed makes no sense to them. No wonder they get up and say, "Oh, mommy, I'm hungry. Oh, mommy, I need this, I need that, I don't feel well, I need to pee again, I need to poop." Those are just excuses for I still want to be with you, mommy and daddy. I don't want to be put away so that you have your private time. This doesn't work for me. So I really prefer, and my solution was that we all went to sleep at the same time, the time that the children were tired, in our family bed. For some time, there was all three of them. The family, we had a wall-to-wall bed, and the picture at the beginning of this video is of my three children in bed together happily in the morning, I think, when they woke up. We took that picture, or at night before falling asleep. I don't remember. Um, but make sure that children are not put to bed while you're staying up, unless they really like that, or you have them sleep together and they have their own little slumber party, or you put them to bed and you get up and they're fine with it and you can be there fast enough so they don't develop anxiety about it. So if you choose to go to bed at the same time as your kids or just be really present this way, then you would ask me the typical question is, what about our sex life and intimacy and private time? We need some time for ourselves. Absolutely. And it's very important for parents to have their marriage, their relationship be nurtured. But no worse time to do that than in the evening when the children need you the most. Sleep is scary for a child. The dark, the going unconscious, they need you then more than in any other time of the day. So my solutions are anytime but the night. I also find that a lot of mothers, and that included me at night, are too tired anyway. It's not as much fun. And a lot of mothers put the children to bed and lay next to them and fall asleep and don't even get up. And the husband is waiting in the living room, or the husband does the same happens to him. That happened to my husband's when we tried that once. I don't think we thought it's a good idea. So there are many other times that you can arrange. Yes, you have to book it. It's not as simple. A lot of couples tell me it really works for them in the morning. The children are still asleep. When you have only a baby, you can stay in the same bed. They don't have a concept about it and have no idea what's happening. I know a lot of parents are telling me they make love next to a baby, and if the baby wakes up, they breastfeed, baby goes back to sleep, they go chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, they continue, sometimes have to get up, change diaper, chapter 5. It just makes the romance even better. Uh, but other people, get out of bed if the children are a little older, or you have more than one, and have another place that they can get together, or they book an afternoon. My husband and I arranged at some point a babysitter every Tuesday afternoon. And we even made a joke when we felt romantic, we would say, "It's Tuesday," just as a way of saying that. So do attend to your marriage, do attend to your relationship, but don't do it at the least favorable time in terms of the need of the children. Find another time, arrange it well. And even then, sometimes you can arrange it and then it doesn't work. You got the babysitter coming on Tuesday and the baby is just really needy of you at that moment. And you say to the babysitter, "I guess it's not going to happen today. Would you like to help us meanwhile and wash the dishes or make dinner?" I always tell babysitters, be a mother helper, be willing to do whatever is needed, because sometimes the child doesn't want you. And other times the child will be just fine with the babysitter and we get our break. And we don't have to go away, can be in the house, so that if there is a need and there's a nursing need with the little ones, then we're there. And it either works in one chapter or it doesn't. Have some humor, have some planning, and let your children decide for themselves when they're tired. and they'll grow up a lot more likely to have an attitude towards sleep that is not causing disruption in sleep or difficulties falling asleep. I hope this is helpful. Please subscribe. This is my first one, and I'll create more. I mean, there's a lot of videos on my channel from interviews, but this is the first one that I'm doing, just answering a question that comes at me a lot recently. I will do more on other subjects. If you have questions, please put them below what you want me to cover next time. And I'll try to do those once a week or so. I don't promise, but I'll do my best. So put your questions down, put your comments. Um, if you have questions about this particular subject, further questions, please ask. I can create videos that follow up on the same subject that would be helpful to everybody. Enjoy your sleep, enjoy your children, and trust them. Bye bye.